The glass breaks as we come back in. We go to the Stanley Fencing Gates hotline. We say hello to Austin Price of Volquest.com, who joins us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, thank you for the time as always. It's a big week. It's Florida week for Tennessee. A lot to dive into in the game. What is the latest you hear about Cooper Mays, his status, as he's been out for more than a month after having a procedure, the chances that he might play on Saturday for Tennessee?
Oh, well, he's been back out on the practice field the last couple of days, and it was out there last week a little bit on the grass, pushing the sled around, just trying to kind of get things going. Has done a little bit more this week. I think it continues to trend in the right direction, but would not call it a lock at this point. I think this is really going to, Coach Ivell loves to deflect all injury stuff to later in the week, and I think this actually may be one where it's legitimate, this will be decided probably Friday.
What about everybody else? I know there were some questions about Nico last week, and we had some guys kind of banged up after the first two games. Anybody else that we need to be concerned about possibly not being 100%?
Yeah, Jalen McCullough, went off the field there on that last drive. Kind of interested to see where he's at, as far as in football. I think he's fine, but to me it's a fairly healthy football team. As healthy as one can be a couple of games into the season. And, I think the further we get along, into this thing, the more, you'll see Cooper come back and be at full strength. Elijah Simmons is, talking about, probably still another 3-4 weeks away before, he becomes a realistic option to come back. And then, of course, Peely will be in November. But, pretty healthy football team outside of your normal, bumps, bruises, and nicks this time of year.
Tennessee commit Boo Carter taking a trip out there to Colorado. No secret that Travis Hunter plays both ways and had a great start to his Colorado career on both sides of the football, and Boo does that in high school. What can you give us as far as information on the seriousness between Boo Carter and Colorado?
Well, I think anytime a kid that's committed to you or that you're recruiting goes onto another campus, you have to be leery of it. There are certain things that still line up for Tennessee with me with Boo. But again, I'm going to go out there and, give Deion and them a look. We'll kind of see where it goes. But, how long is Deion going to be there? You would expect at least a couple of years. But, outside of that, if he continues to do what he's been doing, which is, winning and getting a lot of buzz, somebody's going to come in there and gobble him up at a bigger job because, let's face it, this is all, a steady climb. And, we'll see where things go. But, as far as Boo, I wouldn't put it on a scale of 1 to 10. I wouldn't put it at a 10 as far as worry, but I also wouldn't put it at a 0. So, it's something that the staff's very cognizant of, and, they've been in touch with Boo in the last, couple of days, and we'll see where it goes from there.
We're talking to Austin Price from Volquest, thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. It was not a surprise when linebacker Chris Cole announced his commitment to Georgia on Sunday, but he does come off the board in terms of he's committed elsewhere. I know they can continue to recruit him. How does that affect Tennessee's recruitment at linebacker with Cole's commitment to Georgia?
I don't think it really does, Josh. Cole was kind of like a highly ranked guy that Tennessee really, really liked and would love to have had, but he was more of a luxury than a necessity. Tennessee went into the year taking 2. They got themselves in, Jordan Burns early. They got themselves, obviously, Edwin Spillman. And then they got themselves super involved with Chris Cole back in June, and, they weren't going to pass him up. If he wanted to come, they wanted him 1,000,000%. But, again, I think they went into it thinking, okay, we're going to take 2 in this class. We took 3 a year ago, a couple the year before, and, again, more of a luxury than necessity. If Tennessee only had 1 linebacker right now, that would have been a big blow. But, again, luxury over necessity.
There was a time, Austin, where a group of guys on the team could sit in the meeting room and talk and meet about the responsibilities and expectations, and it would never see the light of day. But now it's front page center news that it was a team meeting in Tennessee. What can you tell us about what the team meeting accomplished, or what have you heard about the team meeting?
Well, it was a team meeting with coaches that were present, and then when the coaches left, then a couple of the leaders on the team stood up. Do not believe this was a called players only meeting. Like, this was hey, we're all together. The coaches have left. Now let's figure out some things, right? And just like, hey, we got to be better. We got to be more on our P's and Q's. What we've done the first couple of weeks, we got a couple of wins, but it's not up to what we want to get accomplished. That type of thing. I don't think this was any kind of like, try to fix the culture. The culture's fine. Don't think there was any finger pointing. It was more just like, hey, we have to be better. More self-reflection than anything else. And that starts with the quarterback, the receivers, everybody involved.
Austin Price, Volquest.com with us. What questions do you have going into Saturday's game about how Tennessee will play, where Tennessee needs to improve from what you've seen the first two games?
Well, can Joe Milton take it from the driving range to the golf course? Obviously he's 2 years ago was great in fall camp. Then struggled in games. This year, again, great in fall camp. And this isn't just some like coach speak. I mean, this is players talking about it, everybody talking about it. And can he take it to the field? I've said all week long, I'm not going to judge the team / Joe or anybody else until after this game. Like, the first two games are the first two games. You can name a number of different things that, contributed to Tennessee's kind of underwhelming performance last week. At the end of the day, though, it's a simple pitch and catch. Even if they're not doing a whole lot, they're not, dialing up, big time, calls, and it's very vanilla, and they're playing Austin Peay, and there was a delay and all that. It's still simply pitch and catch, and Tennessee either failed to pitch it or they failed to catch it, depending on the throw. So we'll see how they perform this week. They've got to come out and get off to a hot start. The swamp will be rocking early. I've said this all week, too. The swamp will be rocking early. But this group of Florida fans isn't enamored with this Florida team, and they are going to be looking for a reason to go home. Tennessee's got to go out and get off to a quick start and give them that reason.
Austin, where does Jason Swain's T-shirt bet with Chris Doering rank among the storylines of this game? The loser has to wear a T-shirt of the opposing team and post it to the top of their social media account.
Hey, man, Chris, I got no problem with Chris Doering, man. He's a Gator, right? I mean, have faith in your school. And he's right. I mean, Tennessee's not one down there. Jason, were you a senior in high school in 03? Or were you a freshman already?
Freshman.
Okay, freshman. Think about that. I mean, Jason, you're, pushing 40. I mean, if it's been 20 years. I mean, I was in school. I am 40. And, I don't blame him for, thinking, this is, Tennessee will Tennessee, right? And, again, Tennessee's got to go out there and prove the doubters wrong. They proved it last year when they finally got over the hump in this game. And they've got to prove it, this week. So, I think it's not real high on my priority list, this bet, but let's hope Swain's not wearing any blue, and that we don't want him to have to, put on the opposing team's colors and logos and all that stuff. You saw that last year when all the NFL guys were having to wear Tennessee clothes after games. I know Swain doesn't want to put on some opposing team's logo and colors.
Absolutely not, man. Outside of Joe Milton, we know how important he needs to be. Who needs to be important? Who you think will be important?
Brew McCoy and Jalen Wright on offense. Defensively, I think it's Aaron Beasley, and I'm going to go Omar Norman Lott. Tennessee's done a really good job of, creating pressure with four-man looks, with blitz looks. I think you'll see them be multiple and come from different angles Saturday. But on offense, if you're trying to get things going, it runs through Jalen Wright and Brew McCoy for me, outside of Joe Milton, who is obvious.
Good calls. Austin Price, Volquest.com, joins us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be your jeweler at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs.